right. So if that doesn't make you want to get out and go and get you in the mood, I'm not sure what was. Honestly, my favorite at the end is what's on your hell yeah list. I love it. Kilimanjaro was on mine. Several others are on mine. Have so much yet to do. So hopefully we can get out there soon to do it. So we're going to start by talking a little bit about as an ode to David Letterman, a little bit about top 20 list. We're going to break them down into two top 10 lists. We're going to do findings that we've learned more about on where do people want to go that are closer to home, just like you, Hawaii, Alaska, Wyoming, and Montana. Where do your peers want to go? So this data has been collected over the last year or so. Many of you know that Jim and I created this program called Wanderlist. If you need to know more after tonight, obviously, please let us know. We're going to just skim the top of it tonight, but use it a lot as inspiration. But we're going to break it into the top 10 list of closer to home, and then the top 10 list of international travel. So just as you did, we have been kind of getting a sense of where do people want to go? What are they putting on their wander list? So again, David Letterman style, we're going to do top 10. So for domestic, New York is number 10, counting down from 10 to number 1. Now, of course, in COVID times, we're not necessarily always talking about the big city. A lot of it is for New York. It is going to New York City and experiencing the amazing things. But also, don't forget about upstate and some of the other places, the lake areas, the beautiful fall scenery and other things. So it's not a surprise that the state as a whole would be on that list. Number 9 is South Carolina. Again, known for the historical perspective. This is Charleston, a huge visitor center and a lot of history and stuff there. Also known for its coastline and island destinations down there. So again, number 9 on the list. Number 8 is Utah, which home to some of the most dramatic and beautiful state national parks we have in our entire country. Arches, Bryce, and then of course up north in Park City for skiing. So it can be really a year-round destination, and that made the number 8 on our list, on the Wanderlist list. Number 7, Montana. You guys were a little bit higher, definitely within your top 3 between Wyoming and Montana. Many people view them kind of the same because they might be doing them both on the same trip. Again, great year-round destination. Beautiful landscapes, clearly, vast open regions, big sky for skiing, Bozeman and Yellowstone, and it's the gateway into the Tetons, and of course they have Glacier National Park, so tons of things. No surprise, I'm actually surprised it's not a little higher on the list like ours was, and you guys had it as number 3. Number 6 is Florida. Again, most people are very familiar. A lot of people go to Florida. This picture represents the Keys, which I think sometimes is overstated. Yes, it's further south. To get to the beginning of the Keys is like an hour and a half or 2-hour drive from Miami. But it's an amazing destination because it has something for everyone. And I don't know that everybody realizes that. There's kind of 5 areas within the Keys, and 1 or 2 are really much better for families. A couple are much more suited for couples. So again, ask your designer. If Florida's on your list and you've been there a lot of times, but you haven't done the Keys, might be worth exploring. Number 5, Alaska, one of my personal favorites, honestly. I have actually done this experience. This is the platform above Brooks Falls. When you see the iconic bear catching the salmon jumping out of the water, this is where that's happening. Someday ask me to tell you about the funny story of us getting here, because I was pregnant with Andrew, and Jim and I have some running jokes about he as long as he could outrun me, if a grizzly was coming, that he felt safe. But of course, so much more to Alaska too. Denali, Anchorage as a city is the hub to a lot of things. We do a ton of the small ship expedition cruising up in Alaska to see the Northwest Passage, or the Inside Passage, sorry. So definitely not a shock that this would be high up. Number 4 is California. This shot, of course, is the Big Sur area, so Monterey and Carmel, and that whole coastline is gorgeous. Keep in mind our friends in the north, because of course we're praying for them with the fires and the redwoods, and San Francisco with Napa and Sonoma and stuff. But that state, of course, to to say is huge is an understatement, but there's so much to see there. This just happens to be a little bit of a favorite. Number 3, Hawaii. I picked this photo intentionally. It's one of my favorite places in Hawaii. This is the Napali Coast, and it looks fake. It seems fake. It is not fake. It's crazy amazing. 80% of the island of Kauai is not able to be seen from land. If this is any representation, I think you get it. You got to go by air or boat to see some of it, but man, is it breathtaking. So again, I'm a little biased. Jim and I lived in Hawaii for a few years, so one of our absolute top 5 experiences of all time traveling, which we have a lot to do yet, but is one on Kauai, which was a helicopter ride over some of these vistas. And it'll be something we never forget. Number 2 is Mexico. This photo, of course, represents the iconic Cabo. If you've joined one of our latest travel nights, we had the woman Fernanda, who represents the Cabo Tourism Board. Mexico is very accessible to us right now, not going into COVID land, but they are very friendly to the US citizens right now. There's not necessarily testing that's needed, but it's a great way to keep in mind for holidays or a warm weather destination that you're looking to go to for Q1 or whenever this winter. Keep it in mind. It's a good one. And number 1, I have to admit, surprised me a little, but yet did not surprise me, because it is Washington State. And we have family who lives there, Jim's brother Steve and his family, and they love it, and we understand why. This is the first year in many years that we're not getting to go out and see them and hike and see some of the natural beauty. Not only is Seattle just one of the most amazing coastal towns with the ocean right there and the islands off its coast and things like that, but it rivals any place in our country with the peaks to hike and the valleys and rivers and lakes to be able to explore. So again, great destination. So that is the top 10 of domestic. So now, what did our peers say for international? The Wanderlist top 10 for international destinations. Number 10, I have to admit, I thought it would be a little higher, but it's not, is New Zealand. If it's my personal list, I've been, but it's high on my list to go back. This is Milford Sound, very iconic region in the South Island. Great culture. There's 2 islands, many of you may know, North Island and South Island. Auckland is usually the hub that you fly into. And then many people do spend a lot of time on the South Island. It is the home and birthplace of some of the extreme sports like bungee jumping and other things. But there's great culture too, and just fantastic scenery, unbelievable scenery. Number 9 is Portugal. This one, before COVID, it was on the rise for us. And it has been for a while. And I suspect it will be back on the rise very quickly once we get through this, because Portugal actually has been handling COVID very well. They have low cases. They've been very methodical in their approach. And again, vast variety, but differences in regions in this country. Everything from the beautiful beaches in the south to the culture and food in Lisbon to up in the north, the Douro Valley in Porto with its port wine and its vineyards. We do some river cruising up in that Douro Valley region where you can go on the river and enjoy that landscape and scenery. So good one to be on that list for sure. Lots of history and beauty. Number 8 is Argentina. This is Iguazu Falls, which is one of its iconic places to go. It is also in the south. People know it for sharing Patagonia with Chile. But again, great for outdoor lovers, great for wine lovers, great for city lovers. A lot to offer in Argentina, just south of us in South America. Iceland is number 7. This is, of course, the charming town of Reykjavik, which is the hub city that you fly just south of and come into. Beautiful. This, it's known as the land of fire and ice. And if you've been there or if you haven't, you would see why immediately, because it's everything from glaciers and crazy black sand and lava fields and green waterfalls and such a variety of landscapes and everything else. It's also known for the famed lagoon, Blue Lagoon, which is the hot springs, and famous for its fjords off the coast. Seeing the island by water is also a very common thing. Number 6 is the United Kingdom. Now, I'm not sure how they defined United Kingdom when they did this, because many people think of England when you hear United Kingdom, but of course it's really made up of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So I'm not sure, but it wouldn't surprise me that some of those automatically are lumped in. Scotland's a very popular place to go. But one thing that, we often say is, of course, people think of it automatically for London, for sure. And Liz on my team would kill me, but please think beyond London. She lived there and she loves it, and as we all do, because there's such amazing sites and food and everything else culturally there too. But it's also the countryside of England, the Cotswolds. This is an example of one of the Cotswolds villages that you can walk or bike between and do little day trips to take you through the countryside. And of course, there's lots else to do in England, but then of course it's so close to some of these other countries that we often will pair it. Number 5, Greece. I can't put Greece up and not have an iconic photo like this of Santorini. But again, especially like now, it's very interesting as we stay in touch with our suppliers. Liz and I had a great call with one of our favorite partners in Greece. And, they do a good job of reminding us too that most of you think of Santorini or Mykonos when we think of Greece. And of course, they have earned their reputation, so we would not deny it. However, Paros or Crete, or even making sure that you use the land-based Athens as a pre and a post maybe to the islands. There's so much diversity and maybe a little less frequented by tourists for Paros or Crete. Lots to do there. And pair it with Santorini or Mykonos just for a few days. So keep that in mind. But again, Greece is on every top list that we ever see, and it should be. Number 4 is Japan. Maybe a little surprising, but again, this was one of those destinations that was really gaining traction for us before COVID. The cultural diversity, especially for people who have found themselves pretty well traveled, are now kind of dipping into some of these maybe a little more, I hate to say foreign, but maybe not as not as much of a gimme destination. And Japan, foodie heaven. Cultural, of course, and scenery. And, a lot of it, this is cherry blossom season. So of course that's a great time to go, but so many other things to do and see there. So ask your travel designer about it if that's on your list. And we do anticipate this destination will really heat up in 21 and 22 for sure. Number 3 on the list is France. No surprise, but what we found is it's on many people's want to return list, because a lot of people have been to France, mostly because of Paris. And what the want to return often comes in of, this is a shot of Burgundy. Of course, wine region is not a surprise in France. We do back roads, bike trips through here, or just other, wine tours. Of course, Normandy is a great want to return excuse to see the history and significance of Normandy. Even the south of France with Provence and Nice and Cannes, there's so much to do there. So we have this a lot on our want to return list for people. Number 2, Africa. I think this is kind of funny. I had to laugh because all the other ones are like countries, Greece, Iceland, maybe the UK cheated it a little bit, and then we talk about Africa because it's a continent, of course, and it's huge. It represents a ton of landmass in our world. However, really what this represents is African safari. That's what most people think of when you say you want to go to Africa. Yes, Morocco and Egypt and other places technically fall in that, but in this case on your wander list, it's usually African safari, and we're going to take you on one tonight, so I'm excited to share that. But also it's interesting, I kind of chuckle every time when we meet with someone who's doing Africa for the first time. Of course, it's everyone's trip of a lifetime. I mean, people have saved, or they have waited to go. They've maybe had friends that have gone, and they see pictures like this. I mean, how can you not want to go to Africa when you see these baby cheetahs, right? But Chris and Jim and myself on our team and Ann, I kind of chuckle because honestly, yes, you are planning a trip of a lifetime if it's your first time, but I can almost guarantee you, and you can ask anyone else, I see Karen Wilkowski on here and others who have been to Africa and share the love we have, is when you get home, you will immediately start thinking about when will you get to go back, because you will understand how diverse it is and how Southern Africa is so different than Eastern Africa. And then you throw in the gorilla trekking, and you throw in Namibia, and just experiences that are so beyond amazing, that this, if it's not on everybody's wander list, it should be. Number one, our dear, dear Italy, who of course early on in this whole crazy 2020 got hit the hardest. They are coming out well. They have opened up to other EU travelers, and we stay in touch with our partners there. One thing I would say is that this is one of those places that if it ever deviates from number one, I honestly will be a little surprised, because it's on everybody's first time. If you haven't been, it's on everybody's list. And even if you have been, it doesn't matter if you've been 4, 5, or 7 times, it's probably still on your list to want to go. And this shot actually represents a little village called Puglia on the, if you call it, the other side of the boot, where that's the charm of Italy, is even if you've been to Rome 5 times or Florence 5 times, you probably haven't gotten enough of it. But what things like COVID lets us do is really get traction in some of the other things. Maybe we don't want to go to big cities a lot right now, or we realize that there's more beyond them. We use them as the hub and get out. And Puglia is one of those examples. Positano, or the whole Amalfi Coast. Those are examples. A villa in Tuscany. Get out and enjoy some of these amazing, amazing areas in a country that you cannot go wrong. We can pretty much say that. So that's kind of the top 20, top 10 closer to home, and top 10 international. So I'm going to use the chat again. If you think something is totally missing from this list, or something surprised you even, what should have been on here that you were surprised wasn't on here? Whether it's a closer to home or someplace you've been that you think should absolutely be on here. Seeing somebody wrote in Thailand. Yeah, nothing in Southeast Asia. I mean, Japan made it, but that's not Southeast Asia. Even Cambodia and Vietnam becoming huge candidates and of major interest. Canada, it's so funny that Mary Lynn said Canada, because Banff, Victoria, Quebec City, our team often talks about how underrated. Unfortunately, they will not let us in right now, and they have extended their time that they're not letting us in. But that is one that people like Aaron Green and myself and others on our team have high on our radar, because I think it's underappreciated, and it's so close, and it is beautiful. Croatia, Australia, love to hear some people saying that how many of them they've been to. Croatia is definitely high on a lot of people's lists. And one side note, we talked about Croatia a little bit in a couple travel nights ago. But the beauty of Croatia right now is, if it's on your list, have it on your list for 2021 if you can, summer or fall maybe, depending on your comfort level and how things progress, because it was really, really bordering over touristed. It's beautiful, it's worth going, even if it is over touristed, but that's a lot of the case for a lot of these places right now, is get in on the front end, because until it starts really, really picking up and people go in droves again, some of these places, Croatia is one, Iceland is one, where they were pretty heavy, and now might be a great time to go. All right, love the comments. Antarctica, Germany, so many, Lindy, Middle East. Israel, Jordan, Northern Africa. There's so many, right? Good to see the chat. Keep it coming in. And I know Nancy put in Antarctica. I have to say I'm super biased to the polar regions. I've been lucky to go 3 times to Antarctica, to the North Pole, and to the Arctic up through Svalbard. And they are fascinating. So keep them high on your list too. All right, so what are we waiting for? Really, let's go on vacation, please. Let's get out of here. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to take you on 3 virtual vacations. We're going to start with Hawaii, which I have to, of course, say, and those of you who know us know we are 100% transparent. We are so biased to this location because we lived there. So we have a very different approach of how you should see Hawaii. We believe wholeheartedly in the authentic. I would hope that you feel this from our team almost anywhere you travel, because it is so much more about the experiences and getting those experiences in an authentic, real way. Yes, there is a place for a hula show in Waikiki if that's what you're looking for, and who would we be to say no? However, I would welcome you to have the discussions with us on other things that we can do to connect you with the deep culture of Hawaii. It's actually one of the reasons why Jim and I moved there. We were talking about going somewhere, and we chose it because we were the minority when we got there. White people, AKA haoles, are definitely the minority. It is a melting pot of Filipino, Japanese, Chinese, Hawaiian, so many cultures, and we love it. So I think we should go. The first place we're going to take you is to one of our favorite properties on Oahu, and it is called the Kahala. So please be welcomed.
Aloha Pick Travel, and thank you for this opportunity to showcase the Kahala Hotel and Resort in Honolulu, Hawaii, on the island of Oahu. My name is Kelly Sheeler, Assistant Director of Sales. I hope that you will enjoy what you're about to see with all the pictures and videos of our luxurious resort. We look forward to welcoming you and your guests to our resort in the near future. Mahalo.
I have to say that I love seeing that video because it takes me back. If any of you have been lucky enough to stay there, that Dolphin Lagoon is right in the middle of the property. So when you saw the rooms kind of bordering it, one of our stays there, we had a lagoon room and we were on the first floor. And when we would wake up, we would hear the blow of the dolphins swimming, and that was partially our alarm clock in the morning. It's such a unique place. There's great beach to walk. We found a shark tooth on the beach, and so a lot of personal memories there. But it's what we love about it too is it's out of Waikiki. It's on that Diamond Head side. It's at the base of Diamond Head. Good golf, good paddleboarding, good everything, but access to Waikiki if you want to go out for dinner some night or go over the other side of the island to Kailua, to the beaches. So, but we do love that property. Okay, let's stay in Hawaii. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you is, this is one of our absolute favorite quotes. The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page. And I think this is really indicative of how we feel about Hawaii, because again, you can go to Hawaii, there's many, it's beautiful. So if you don't care about experiences and stuff, you're not going to go wrong on a vacation to Hawaii. It has some of the best beaches in the world. The weather honestly is perfect all year round. It's 76 degrees with trade winds. So you can't go wrong there. But what we like about it is it really separates the traveler from the tourist. And what I mean by that is, the tourist goes someplace and they maybe barely scratch the surface. They're there to see something, but to me, a traveler really lets them dig deeper. They want to uncover, they want to explore, they want to experience. And that is what we're going to share with you tonight about Hawaii. There's a series of 3 little short videos. Each one is 2 to 3 minutes long. And they recap some of the very authentic traditions and kind of behind the scenes aspects to some of what Hawaii has to offer. So we're going to have you listen to these videos. I'm going to just give you a quick overview of them so I can kind of just run through them. But one is of our good friend Greg, who is on the island of Molokai, which if you've been to type in the chat, actually, I'm super curious if anybody has been to Molokai. It is not a heavily touristed island. In fact, they don't really have hotels. We have a couple properties, houses that we love to rent there. There's no traffic lights and all that kind of stuff. And Greg is going to share with you his story about keeping the authentic Hawaiian culture and tradition alive. They are in Halava Valley, and you're going to see that. Greg is great. Oh, love it. Thank you, Anne, for saying Molokai is awesome. It is beautiful. We've been a few times. The next one is going to be about, or another one is going to be about surfing. Of course, Hawaii is known for surfing. The North Shore of Oahu is really known for surfing. If you've ever been, the waves are ridiculously crazy. It's where a lot of surfing competitions come. But where does that come from? Where's the essence come from of surfing? And what's the meaning to the local Hawaiian people? So that's going to be another one. And then a third one is about the volcano, which of course has been in the press a lot in recent years because of its eruption. It's constantly erupting, but had a nice one not long ago. So I'm going to let you we're going to take a few moments and I'm going to let you experience some of these cultural findings. Greg is up first.
Today we're known as the last original family left, still living in this valley. If I weren't here, the culture and the history would definitely die, forever. Growing up, I wanted to be exactly like my father. He was a cultural practitioner, a teacher. He was my hero by teaching me the culture and bringing me up in this way. To walk in the same footsteps as my ancestors. Harvest food and taro from the same places that my father has taught me to harvest from. To take my son into the same fishing holes and still catch the same type of fish that we've caught for many generations. That's the type of joy this place brings me. Halava. Ha meaning breath or life. Lava, which means sufficient. A lot of people never get to hear the stories of places like this. People never see us Hawaiian people for who we are because they never get to see the culture. The minute we don't share, that's the minute our culture dies. Culture needs to be shared. That is why I choose to live this lifestyle, and I choose to live this way. It's not an easy life. I sacrifice a lot. I miss the sound of my children walking with me in the mountains. They live totally on a separate island in a city because I believe in them having the best education possible. To keep your culture alive, you gotta keep up with modern times. But at the same time, they do come here and spend a lot of time with me. We come from a very special place and a very special land. It's very important to keep all of these things going. If nobody does it, then who will?
think that's an amazing story, and Greg and his father are amazing people. And it's hard to deny when he says that if we don't keep it alive, like if we stop keeping it alive, who will? And that's when it will die. And I think a lot of people can learn from that. This is us a few years ago with Greg out in we hiked back to those falls. It's their land. It is very protected and sacred. He showed us the taro patches, and we took some friends on we do it privately with Greg and his dad. It's a very spiritual, amazing experience because it's so authentic. So this is some of the stuff that I'm talking about when we talk about seeing Hawaii in a different light. This is a very unique, special place. All right, the next one is on surfing.
When I look at my entire life, it's just nothing but a storm. The storm rages around me. Within that eye, it's calm for me. I see clearly. Aloha na kupuna, aloha na amakua, na akua pau o ke ia aina o ka moana. Mahalo i o koma, na uhane i ke ia kumula'au. As a kid, I so wanted a surfboard. That brand new shiny fiberglass surfboard. My dad just got a piece of wood, started carving it in the traditional way. I just looked at the board and told my dad I hated it. I didn't want it. He just took the board, broke it, threw it in the fire pit and burned it. One night I go to sleep and I started to have dreams, and I remembered the board. And that was the beginning of my journey. The search for that essence of what surfing really is all about traditionally. Every wood speaks to you and talks to you, and it tells you the type of board it's going to become. Their kinolau, their body form. And I want to restore their spirit and give it its life that it wants. Ocean is home. And land is where I come to rest. And when we stand up and ride a board, it's actually to allow us to be spiritually connected to the ocean.
Amazing. Ocean is home and land is where I come to rest. Love that. All right, the next one.
As the ground shook with rumblings and crackling sounds, I knew Pele was on the move. Seeing her every single night from 30 miles away is the most powerful experience I've ever had. Growing up, learning Hawaiian culture, learning the language was not pushed onto my generation. It left a massive void in me. And my whole life there I was always yearning for my purpose, who I am. Your name speaks volumes. I just learned what my last name means a few years ago. Kaholoa'a, flow of jagged rock, which directly connects us to Pele. Being connected to Pele, I can see aspects of her within the steam. I feel comfort being in her presence because I am an extension of her. Oh, eruptions as being very destructive. But what people don't understand is Pele is a creator of life. As she flows, the native plant life can start to regrow. The native birds return. The cycle, it starts anew. And only recently I've realized all things need that regrowth. As I grow, as I learn, I'm connecting myself back to my culture. I feel at home. It's like, okay, now I know. My journey is to share my culture to the world.
You know, some of our best friends for life live in Hawaii, and it goes without saying how special it is. But what we love about it is we get to share some of this stuff with you. We have access to some of these types of people and the authenticity. Another one that we wanted to share was on hula. I actually worked on the Prince Lot Hula Festival doing their PR when I lived out there, and learned a lot about the language of hula and stuff like that. There's just so many amazing ways to see it. This last one, of course, was on the Big Island. If you haven't been, I highly recommend it. It's another amazing place to do a helicopter ride. And one quick side story, when I was out on the Big Island for the first time, I drove by to where I was going one day, and they use white rocks as graffiti. You could see the black lava. It's all black lava rocks. So they use white rocks and do graffiti. And one day I drove by and it said, "I love you, Linda." And I was like, oh my gosh, someone loves a Linda out there. It's wonderful. And the next day I went by and it said, "I hate you, Linda." They changed it. I'm like, somebody had some major impact overnight that they had to change the graffiti because their relationship failed in a 24-hour period. But just funny little side stories, and it's a very special place to us. But we must move on. Our next place is Sedona. Again, closer to home, Arizona. We spent some time there last fall and loved that area. We actually stayed in a place called Enchantment Resort. Several on our team have been, so you can talk to them easily. It's about an hour and a half from the Grand Canyon, and just north of Phoenix is where we flew in. We're going to focus tonight on Enchantment's sister property, which is called Miamo. And it is a spa. It is a destination spa like no other. It often gets rated as one of the top in the world. And I'm going to play the video, and on some places we've kind of dimmed down the music or the voiceover so that I could give some color commentary, because we were just there and there's just such amazing culture there too. And it's so close to us. Easy flight into Phoenix, and hopefully you'll enjoy.
Hello, I'm Kelsey Perrone with Enchantment Resort in Sedona, Arizona. I'd like to welcome you and my dear friends, Jim, Linda, and the entire Peak Travel team to our beautiful home within Boynton Canyon and the Red Rocks. Tonight, I hope you will enjoy learning about some of the unique features that truly make this a very special place.
So this is the entry to Enchantment, and then into the spa, which is Miamo right next door. It's sprinkled with amazing artwork and color of the Navajo families around that area for hundreds of years, some of their authentic works of art. And you're going to feel the influence there all around the property, in the goods they sell in the gift shop, to the spa products that they offer and use during the treatments, to jewelry. It's all authentic in that area, and really unique to that local heritage of the Navajo people. The other thing is, this doesn't stop there. You're going to listen to drums and flutists that are part of the experience when you're on property. As I mentioned, Travel and Leisure actually twice has voted it the top world best spa destination spa. And you know, it takes its name from Journey, and they say that they want to help their guests on a path towards exploration. And what does that mean to them? What we liked about the spa too was that there's just a lot of private areas, soft cushions and sitting and pool and their jacuzzi and lots of beautiful quiet areas. No kids are allowed, no offense kids, but when you're in this kind of environment, it's amazing. And their treatments, again, they're all based on the Navajo ways. So from the materials to this is the medicine wheel that represents the 4 stages of life. They use original and native products and herbs there. They use everything from the pendulum blankets to the therapist teaching you about their different practices.
First, I'm going to use the sweetgrass to clear our energy. We use the sweetgrass as a blessing, a clearing. I'll open sacred space with the drum to the winds of the west, the birth, the beginning, to the winds of the south, the childhood years, the years of learning, to the winds of the east, adulthood, the years of manifestation, to the winds of the north, the elders, the wisdom keepers, who pass down the teachings and the spiritual directions. These are the cycles of life. And what I'm going to use is some cedar and sage essential oils. Have you breathe in that medicine. Feel my energy and allow us to connect.
Sign me up, man. I'm telling you. This last place that showed on the video is called their Crystal Grotto. And this is a daily ritual in the morning. You put your worries on a paper or anything that's bothering you on that paper, you leave it outside. That stays in a basket. And you walk into this area that is a circular area. And it's the crystals represent, guests realize their clarity, and the skylight reflects the light of the moon. And it's a really peaceful place to start your morning. And it's basically for meditation, and they take you through some of the Navajo ways, just like the drum in the spa. So again, about experiences and authenticity and some things that you can get really not even by leaving that far from home. Okay, our final virtual vacation, one of my favorites, number 2 on the Wanderlist top 10. And very high on our list as well because of African safari experiences. We are going to take you to Tanzania. And you might not realize that safari is actually not that far-fetched. Right now, Tanzania is very open to tourists right now. In fact, several of our affiliates have a lot of people going this fall yet. Again, it's going to be quite quiet. Not a lot of tourists are coming in. Next year, we'll get busy again. So it's not that far-fetched to think about going sooner than later. And of course, Tanzania is your gateway into the Serengeti. And we are going to share with you literally a game drive that just happened 24 to 48 hours ago by a good friend of ours, Malau, at one of our favorite lodges in Tanzania called Tasa Lodge. One of our affiliates, the owners are actually Minnesota guys, Jim Rohn and Peter Towton, and we love that property. Several on our team have been, and we're going to take you on safari, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it on the backside.
Hello to all my friends at Piki Travel. Welcome to the Serengeti. Isn't this beautiful? I wish you could all be here with me on this amazing adventure. As far as you can see, is a wilderness great migration across the Lobo Valley. I'm here with some guests who are having a very good time. This morning, we went to the Mara River. The wildebeest were crossing toward the Masai Mara in Kenya. We saw 2 kills. There's a crocodile is going for one. Look.
No, just stand on the chair then.
Look, there's a kill. It's going, got the little one. Oh. It's got the little one. Yesterday evening, just below Tasa, on the road, we found a leopard. He was carefully looking at something in pitch black. We didn't really see what he was looking at, but suddenly he started stalking toward the thicket. He then ran and he caught a ram of impala. We lost him for like 2 minutes. We went around and we were able to get us an angle, and then he was feeding on the ram of impala.
Impala, for those of you.
Yeah, very much. This is the concession lions.
Malau is saying these are the lions that make their home on the concession, on Tasa's private concession.
I have lived in Tanzania my entire life, and I can't live the wildlife I'm seeing. When you come to Tasa, it will feel like you have the Serengeti to yourself. I hope to see you all again here at Tasa. See you soon.
Notice the proximity of the lion to the Jeep. Crazy, but very real. So let me tell you just a little bit more about Tasa. Again, owners are here locally in Minnesota for those of you who live in the Midwest. But a couple unique things about it. It is their private concession, which means that anybody else who would come onto the property, which is thousands of acres, would have to get permission, which means that there's not a lot that come on. So there's days where you could go on a safari drive and not see another Jeep, which is not always the case, especially in the Serengeti. A lot of times you have Jeep after Jeep, which isn't bad because everybody's enjoying the same thing, but there's something very magical when you are the only one seeing what you are seeing. And the owners have really invested a lot of money recently in redoing the property. This is the look out over their private concession, if you can get a sense for it, just the little plunge pool that they have. It is not, I'm not even gonna say clamping, that is not even remotely, this is luxury at its finest. They have spent a lot of money to redo the interiors of the tents and the main common areas, so you can get a sense that this is very nice accommodations. This is one of the examples. This is the interior. I had to limit photos, but the bathrooms are unbelievable. Local rocks and materials used and brought in, and just amazing, very comfortable for when you want to take your siesta after your morning game drive. The other thing is they are in very good partnership and terms with the local Maasai tribe that lives there. So again, talk about authentic experiences. I had one client who I took through Wanderlist, the planning program of Wanderlist, and they said they checked things that they don't want to do was meet the locals. And when I asked her about it, she said that they had an experience in Tanzania where it seemed like they paraded through the locals. And she used that as her benchmark of, I don't want the touristy cue the locals kind of experience. And at Tasa, it is far, far from that. They take you to see the local markets where they're selling their handicrafts, and you see the kids and the Maasai men herding their cattle. And it's just a very authentic, great experience. And obviously they're close to the Serengeti. You saw Malau take them to the Mara River. So depending on what time of year you go, kind of follows the Great Migration. But we had to limit our time, so I hate to not give Tasa even more time, but follow them on Instagram and Facebook. Their photography and the way they capture the experiences, Malau actually does a lot of it, is amazing. It's worth your time and your follow. So go, it's Tasa Lodge, if you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. All right, so to end tonight, we just wanted to spend a little bit of time on this lovely Wanderlist program that we have. Some of you have heard about it, but there's been some very unique and interesting changes to it too. So even if you haven't heard about it, I'm happy to do some one-on-one talking with you after the fact, or just shoot me an email. But we wanted to give you some updates on what's been going on, because hopefully we've added a bunch of things to your Wanderlist, and we want you to be able to kind of organize it and share it with people you love or who you travel with, and keep it top of mind. We heard a lot during the building and curation of this program that our travelers want to engage more. They want to play more. They want to go online, and when they read an article, they want to tag it, or they want to share an idea with a friend and get them to weigh in on sharing what they want to do if they experience it together. And so a lot of what changes and enhancements and new things have come to Wanderlist has been born out of that feedback. So I know a lot of you, actually there's probably 3, 4, maybe even 5 of you on this call that have gone through our Wanderlist planning program. And like I said, I'm happy to have a one-on-one with any of you. Anybody else on the call that would be interested. It is a paid for service where we basically map out a future travel plan for you so that we can manage your time and prioritize destinations or experiences and help you manage your budget and stuff. It's a very, hopefully you would agree, thoughtful and energizing program. I would suggest we have a conversation if you want. But whether you're in the program or not, tonight we wanted to share with you kind of a new version of it, or an enhancement or an add-on to it, if you will. And that is a free version that is a web-based program, so you can access it from your computer, your phone, your tablet, or anything. And basically how it works is it's free. It's very easy to do. It's very intuitive. It walks you through the process. And it's really meant to inspire, especially during this crazy time where we just want to keep dreaming, and we don't want to lose thoughts that we have, and we want to energize others who we travel with. So this allows you to kind of play in that world. And there's 3 steps. Here's how it works. The first one you can see at the bottom, you discover. So basically what we've done is we've curated some of the best content. Some of it's very original. A lot of it comes from our consortium at Virtuoso. Very unique. You can't Google some of these experiences. We have over 2,000 experiences, 1,400 different unique hotels, and 40, 50 cruise lines that offer itineraries around the world. Then you add. So basically what that means is you get to create your wish lists. I'm going to take you through just a little bit more detail on these, but basically it could be your next trip. It might be your 10 just on your wish list, but you get to create these little nuggets of trips and add them to your wish list. And then to dream, of course. This is where you get to invite others to dream with you. So it might be another couple you're traveling with. I see a couples on here who plan to go to Africa together. No names mentioned. So it's a great time to weigh in on, well, if you go to Africa, what do you want to see? So we encourage you to invite family and friends, and definitely encourage you to add your travel designer, because then we can kind of watch it. And when the time comes to start planning that trip, we'll have some really good insight that you guys have been building up. So let's just run through quickly how it works a little bit in more detail. The first step is basically what's going to happen is after this meeting, we're going to send you a link. Obviously, it's optional to participate if you want. It's free, so you can go in and dink around and no love lost, but it's really fun. And it gets a little addicting, so I'll warn you, but it's a free account. So we'll send you a link if you would like. Check it, click on it, and it'll prompt you through how to set up an account. Super easy. Then you'll get to start walking around the world. It'll ask you where you want to go. You can search a couple different ways and start adding things to your list. During that step, you're going to get to discover. You'll see things populate on different experiences that you can have. Unique hotels, like you'll see the one down sleeping in an ice room in Scandinavia. There's a lot of unique, specially curated things that you can then add to that trip. They come up specific to that destination, and it's experiences that you can have, places you can stay, and other opportunities if you travel there. So it's a great way to curate and kind of start digging around on things that you knew about that place, but maybe a lot of things that you didn't. And then you'll save it. Basically, it'll prompt you through a way to create a list. So like somebody had said they want to go to Croatia, or in this case, Taiwan. And you'll call it what you want to. And this one was just a someday. I'm interested in going to Taiwan. Maybe not urgent. Maybe it'll end up coming up faster. But here's some things that I'm interested in why I want to go to Taiwan. And you'll see these buttons over here are people that you can invite then, and we'll talk about that in a second. But it basically walks you through creating your little wish lists. You can have, there's no limit, you could have 50 on there if you want to, and each one can have its own little tag. And then sharing. This is kind of part of the really fun thing, I think, is you can invite your friends and family. And like I said, your designer too, because we'd love to keep an eye on it so that if we see something that came up, or a new experience, or some free airfare with an AMA Waterways river cruise on the Douro River in Portugal, that we could reach out if it makes sense. We're not about offers and not about spamming you, obviously, but this just keeps us in tune with what's going on in your mind. And then if you do plan to migrate to the plan program with us, obviously we're rich with ideas, and this gives us content to start working off of and start to prioritize. There's no obligation to move from free to plan. Either one or both is great, but this is really fun to have your friends and family who's traveling with you share their ideas too. One thing that's fun is there's curated content that populates, and you can select it to add. But then also the Wanderlust team just added the function not long, a couple weeks ago, where if you see an article or you watch a documentary or something, you can tag it and put it to that trip too. So the whole web is open to you on gathering ideas and putting in things so you don't forget them. Don't rip it out of a magazine and put it in an old school file folder or post it on Instagram. Now you can actually organize it into your trip and share it with the people you're traveling with. So I hope that gives you an idea. Like I said, in the next day or two, we'll send you a link. And if you would like, it'll come from me or Jim. You can accept the invite. It'll prompt you to go in and create an account, and then you can just start playing around, share it if you want to, or just start your own personal list, whatever makes sense to you and what makes you happy. And like I said, please invite your designer. If you don't know who to invite me, and I'll help monitor it, or I'll have somebody on my team. We'll split them up and kind of keep an eye on things for you. So given that, now we wanted to open it up to questions. I don't know that many people typed anything in the chat. If you have anything, Erin will weigh in with any questions, or it's not too late. Please use this time and type in something. While you think of anything, let me just close with a couple comments too, is that, you know, I can't emphasize enough the ability to plan ahead if you can, because honestly, we are going to be jamming 2 years of travel into 1 year. All of the 2020 travel, of course, got postponed. Many of you have credits with suppliers around the world or with cruise lines or whatever. So if you can, and if you're comfortable, have a discussion with your designer about what's a low risk or no risk option to booking ahead, because we wouldn't put you in a bad situation. If you can't get your money back or whatever, we would make it very clear. But availability is going to be an issue. I was just on a Virtuoso network call today, and people are starting to see it even domestically. Some of our favorite properties you can't even get into. So plan ahead. And if you're not sure who to reach out to, please, reach out to me and I'll connect you with the right person. Erin, what do you got for us on questions or any other comments? And if Erin is not there or muted, I will peek here quick. Carolyn, what are your thoughts about the safety of going on a cruise in the coming days? Oh, Erin can't unmute herself. Jess, if you're there, can you help me unmute Erin? And if not, I will try to find her too soon. Safety of cruises in the coming days. So of course, the cruise line has gotten hit maybe the hardest out of all of this. And what's ironic is, I mean, granted, some of it's some of it's legit. It's hard to deny. Anything is going to be, up for reasonable discussion. But they do follow really good protocols. Some of the latest ones, uncruise in Alaska, we had clients going on the uncruise expedition cruise up the Inside Passage of Alaska, and they were testing to board, and somebody tested positive, and they shut down the whole cruise and canceled the rest of the season. It turns out that test actually was negative. So they did it without reason. But of course, we are watching that. And I think that safety-wise, because more testing is happening at many parts of the travel process, it might be before you can get in, board your plane to go into XYZ destination, Belize, you have to be tested within 72 hours and have a negative test. Then some destinations are testing you on arrival as well. And you stay in that hotel until your test comes back. Usually it's a day or two, which you probably were staying in that hotel anyway. Things like that. So if there's plenty of places along the way and your comfort level of your health and safety, and the destination has good medical facilities just in case, we think cruises are actually going to be very popular. In fact, Liz Matassa on our team, who's our cruise expert, has been very busy booking 2021 and 2022 cruises already because it's limited capacity. They're only going to fill up. Many of them are not filling to 100% capacity, which helps too. They're all taking extreme measures. No more buffets. If they're doing buffets, they're staff served. They're social distancing the tables. They're stretching out their dining hours so that they have less people in the dining hall at one time. They're encouraging more in-room dining or out in public spaces where it's more socially distanced. So again, it's a personal choice clearly, but at the same time, they're doing a lot to ensure the safety. And I think some of it's going to depend on the destinations opening up first before those cruises will be able to operate again. Okay, oops, sorry about that. I'm going to see if I can unmute Aaron here quick. And then I'm also going to, all right, Aaron, I think I'm unmuting you, so you can jump in if you're seeing anything else.
I am here, but I do not see any other questions right now.
Okay. All right, then I'm gonna let you guys go, but I wanna end on one thing. I don't know if you could read this. You maybe see my, oh, the places you'll go book. But one of my favorite things is this little sign. And it says travel, it's a noun, the only thing you will buy that makes you richer. And I hope you believe that. I can't wait to get you all out traveling again, because rich, poor, doesn't matter. I think we all agree with what feeling, education, experience, and everything that travel brings to our lives. And I can't wait to get back out there, and I can't wait to get you guys back out there. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we'll follow up with a Wanderlist invitation to open your own account. And please join us on that platform if you can. And if you need more information, just email me at lindab@peaktravel.com. And we'll hopefully see you out there. Thanks, everybody.